So welcome to week 3 of More Clients, More Results. And this week we're actually going to go out and we're going to start prospecting for clients. So this is a very exciting week. So the goal for this week, so we know what to expect, we should be generating at least 3 to 4 leads by the end of this week. And ideally we want to set up consultations with them on the phone. So a brief overview of this week's training. We're going to look at what makes people buy from you. Obviously this is very important as we start actually coming into contact with prospects. We're going to go over the email templates we're going to use on LinkedIn. We're actually going to start to contact prospects directly, and we're going to talk about following up properly so we don't leave any money on the table. And lastly, we're going to look at tracking progress. So we need to put some systems in place so we don't lose track of all our leads as the pipeline starts to grow. So the expectation to be on track by the end of this week, you should be prospecting and you should be generating leads by the end of this week. That's where you should be if you're on track. So let's talk about what makes people buy from you, because obviously this is important. The reason I want to talk about this now is because things are going to move pretty quickly for a lot of people, and we're going to start to get in contact with a lot of prospects who are interested in our service, and we want to know what makes them tick, and we want to know what makes them buy from us. So you're going to start to get a lot of interest, and it's really very important, obviously, that you handle that properly. So let's just do a very brief recap of where we are so far. So we've identified a problem in a prospect group. We've determined that we have a viable solution to that problem. We've communicated effectively that we have a solution with our irresistible message, and this week we've actually gone out and we started to prospect, and the prospect's actually seen our message and hopefully has responded to it. So if we've done our job properly, the prospect is now aware that we have a solution to a problem that they're actually willing to pay for. So at this point the question is, does everybody buy from you? Well, of course the answer is no, they don't. That's obvious. So why is that? If they don't buy from us, then there's really only two possible reasons that they're not buying from us at this point. And the first one is that they don't believe you. They don't believe what you've told them. They don't believe that you have a solution to their problem. Or the second possible reason they're not buying from you is that there's just too much risk on the table. There's just too much risk in the deal, and that's stopping them from moving forward. So these really are the only two reasons that they're not going to buy from you, assuming that we've done everything else properly. That's why we just recapped. So we obviously need to address both of these before we can make the sale. So if the prospect believes that we have a genuine solution to their problem that they're willing to pay for, and if there's little or no risk to them, then obviously 9 out of 10 people are going to say yes to you. If they can see that you have a solution, they believe the solution is real, it's a problem that they're looking for a solution, and there's zero risk, why wouldn't they say yes? They will. 9 out of 10 will say yes, obviously. Alternatively, on the flip side of that coin, if they believe you, if they believe that you have a solution, but there's actually still a lot of risk involved for them, then 9 out of 10 are going to say no to purchasing your solution at that point. So if they don't believe that you have a solution, then the risk is really irrelevant. They're not going to purchase from you either way. So if they don't believe you, the answer is always going to be no, obviously. So both belief and risk must be addressed in what we're doing here if we're going to be successful and we're going to get lots and lots of clients on board, which is the goal. If we can find a way to address both risk and belief at the same time, then it's going to be really easy for us to hit a home run. So the easiest way beyond any shadow of a doubt to do this is by offering a rock solid guarantee. Now, this is really important. I don't want anybody to get nervous here. You don't have to offer a guarantee if you don't want to. What I'm proposing to you here, what I'm presenting is the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. So I'm presenting the very best guarantee you could offer and the results you would get. And we can contrast that with the worst guarantee or no guarantee and the results you would get there. So don't freak out when we see this. You don't have to offer a guarantee and you don't have to offer the guarantees I'm suggesting, so just keep that in mind. Another thing you want to do that's going to separate you at this point from your competition is to use solid concrete language. We don't want to be saying stuff like, well, we can't guarantee anything, we don't really know what kind of results we're going to get, stuff like that. It's just not very attractive, and that's what everybody is doing. That's the language everybody is using, and to be honest, it's just not very good. So we want to use solid concrete language wherever possible, and we want to demonstrate with our own unwavering belief in our ability to deliver results that what we're offering is legitimate. Now, as I said, this is where most people start to get nervous when we start talking about giving guarantees and stuff like that. But this is why specialization is actually really very critical to the whole process. So if you've got a landing page, if you've got an ad, you've got a set of keywords, and you know all of this stuff works 100% for a fact, then it gets a lot easier to offer a guarantee. You can start to make some pretty bold promises, and you can start to speak to the problem with a lot of confidence when you've got assets in place that you know are effective and you know they're going to be effective for the client or potential client that you're speaking to. So let me put this way, and this is going to illustrate why a lot of people, why the vast majority of people really struggle to get any kind of traction in this industry, and they find it hard to get more than a handful of clients, and why actually the digital consulting space it's a very, very crowded area. It's a very crowded business, as we all know. There's a lot of competition, but at the same time, through all of that crowdedness and all that noise, we actually have virtually no competition because nobody's doing this stuff very well at all. So if you go out there and you do it well, which is what you're going to do, then you got virtually no competition. So let me ask you a question. What reason would you give that you would not guarantee a client's ad spend? Why would you not guarantee their ad spend? Well, the answer for that question is because it's too risky, right? What if it doesn't work? Or because it's too risky for you? So again, if your service is too risky for you to put your money on the line and guarantee the results, if effectively you're not willing to bet on yourself getting the result for the client, and by not guaranteeing the ad spend, that's effectively what we're saying, is that we're not willing to bet on ourselves getting the result, then why on earth would a client believe in you and say yes to you? If your own proposition is too risky for you to put your own money on the line, or if my proposition is too risky for me to put my money on the line, and I'm not willing to invest in it, so to speak, why on earth would a client be willing to invest in it? And the reason I say this is just to try and get you to see it from the client's perspective for a moment. So basically what we're saying when we're not willing to guarantee the ad spend is that you're telling them that it's very, very risky working with you. You're telling them that you don't have any real faith in your own product, and you're telling them that there's no way I would put my own money on the line here. And to be honest, that's 99.9% of the digital consultancy market. That's the message that they're giving. They're just not really willing to guarantee anything, and they're definitely not willing to put their own money on the line. Now, again, don't freak out here. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just making a point. But this is exactly why you've really got no competition. Nobody is really willing to stand by their product, and nobody is really willing to make solid guarantees. So like I say, before you have a heart attack here, I'm not suggesting that you guarantee ad spend. That's not what I'm saying. I'm merely pointing out something very important, and that is that a prospect's confidence and belief in you, and ultimately if they buy from you or not, is going to be directly proportional to your confidence and belief in yourself. So let's make that same point this way. If you were 100% confident you would get the result beyond any shadow of a doubt for the client, would you and could you guarantee the ad spend at that point if you're 100% certain and there's no doubt you're going to get the result? Well, the answer is of course you would, and of course you could, because you'd never have to pay outright. You know for a fact you're going to get the result. So if you made that guarantee, that prospect would actually have zero risk, because if they don't get the result, they're not going to have to pay anything. You're going to reimburse their ad spend. And seeing as if it failed, it would cost you personally and cost them nothing. It would be virtually impossible for them to not believe that the solution you offer is legitimate. So it's going to address both objections here, whether they believe you or whether there's too much risk. So if you offered that deal, if you offered 100, if you offered to cover the ad spend if it didn't work for the client, how many prospects would say yes to that deal? And the answer is probably 100 out of 100 would say yes to that. The vast, vast majority of people that you speak to would take you up on that deal. Now, that's obviously the extreme case example. That's removing 100% of the risk from the deal, and I'm not suggesting that you do that, and I'm not suggesting that you guarantee the ad spend. That's not where I'm going with this. But look, if you could guarantee up to $500 of the ad spend, let's say, and you call that advertising cost, because you could easily spend $500 to generate a lead on Facebook or through AdWords, right? These are really expensive platforms for the digital marketing niche, and it would be easy to blow $500 to get a single lead. So for the same $500 that you're going to spend to generate a lead for on those platforms, Facebook or AdWords, if you took that $500 and to a prospect and guaranteed their ad spend, how many prospects would say yes to that deal if you offered it to them? And I would surmise that virtually everybody would. So even if you pay out in this circumstance, it's still massively cheaper and considerably more effective than any other marketing you can do, right? So what it's going to boil down to is, can you get results or not? Ultimately, better the risk reversal, the more clients are going to say yes to you, and that just goes without saying. That's obvious. So if you're confident of the results that you can get, then why not make it really easy for the clients to try you out maybe you could look at guaranteeing your fee as the risk reversal. Now, that's pretty much what I do personally. So here's my guarantee with AdWords clients. I say if you're not 100% happy with the service that I provide, I'll refund my fee. So that provides little or no out-of-pocket expense for me, really. It's a big deal for the prospect. You're taking $1,500 of the risk out of the deal for them. So pretty much what I'll say is something along the lines of, look, your ad spend is your responsibility. Nobody's going to guarantee that. If you move forward with anybody, then your ad spend is your responsibility. But what I can do personally is I can guarantee your satisfaction with my service. And if for any reason over the next 30 days you're not happy with the way I'm performing, you're not happy with the service I've delivered for any reason whatsoever, I'll 100% refund your management fees. And as I say, that's just taken $1,500 of risk out of the deal for them. And if we're talking 1,500 fees, 1,500 ad spend, let's say, then we've just reduced the risk on the deal by 50%. And that's a pretty substantial risk reduction. That's a pretty substantial risk reversal. So it makes it very easy for them to believe in me when I tell them, look, if I don't get you the results, I'm not going to get paid. And it reverses most of the risk, or a good chunk of the risk, back onto me, and it just makes it much easier for the client to say yes. So it deals with the belief issue if I'm willing to take on some of the risk, and it also deals with the risk reversal issue as well if I'm willing to take on some of the risk, while at the same time, if I offer that guarantee, it's putting virtually no financial downside on me. The worst case scenario is they're going to ask for their money back, and I'm going to be out of pocket on some hosting and some core tracking fees and stuff like that, maybe $100. But would you pay $100 to get a client, to get them to say yes? I think it's a pretty good deal, to be honest. So as you can see, a strong guarantee is the easiest way to overcome disbelief, while at the same time reversing the risk away from the client and back onto yourself a little bit. And again, this is why specialization is really very, very important, because you can't even think about doing this as a generalist. There are just too many variables and too many unknowns. Unless you've got some kind of idea ahead of time about how your campaign is going to perform, then it's just really, really very difficult to offer any kind of risk reversal at all. And you just find yourself back in this ocean of digital marketing consultants that can't use concrete language, they can't say anything specific, and they just really don't know what they're doing. But as a specialist, you should have a pretty good idea of the results that you're going to deliver, as I say, particularly if you're using the same campaign over and over again. So to recap, I'm not saying you have to guarantee ad spend. I'm making the point here that the stronger the guarantee, the easier it is to get the clients to say yes to you. So I guess the point is, if you were willing to guarantee the ad spend, then everybody would say yes to you. You would have no problem whatsoever. Every prospect you came into contact with would say yes. Going down to you offer no guarantee whatsoever, it's going to be very difficult to get people to say yes, and then you've got every range and spectrum in between. So the greater your confidence in your ability to deliver your product, the better the risk reversal you can offer, and the more comfortable you're going to be with it. So again, as I keep saying, this comes back to having a winning campaign that you know gets good results, and you just use it over and over again. So if you're not as solid on your product delivery as you could be, then it's definitely worth taking some time to refine it, because obviously the better you get with product delivery and the more confident you are, the better you're going to be able to sell. So at the end of the day, it's really your belief in yourself and your belief in your ability to deliver results that's going to be communicated to your prospect. It's going to come through your non-verbal communication and even your verbal communication, and just the way you conduct yourself and the concreteness of your language. So the more confidence you have in yourself to get results, the easier it's going to be to get clients, and that's just all there is to it. So a weak guarantee or no guarantee is a sign to a prospect that you have very little confidence in yourself to deliver. A rock solid guarantee breeds confidence, and it says to the prospect that what you're saying is true and you're very confident you can get the results, and that tends to lead towards more yeses than nos, obviously. So the way I view the guarantee is that it's just a cost of business and it's just a cost of marketing, right? So if I have to make good on that guarantee from time to time, and to be honest, I never have. Nobody's ever asked me for their money back with PPC or anything, as far as I'm aware, come to that. But even if they did, I would just view that as cost of sales, cost of business, because I know if I offer a great guarantee, that's going to get a lot more people to say yes. So maybe 10 people will say yes that wouldn't have said yes, and maybe one or two will ask for a refund. But you know what? I'm still 8 clients to the good. At the end of the day, I've got 8 clients that I wouldn't have had, and it really hasn't cost me anything to get to that point. So The guarantee and the risk reversal, this is something everybody has to decide for themselves, right? So how much risk are you willing to take on in the deal? And it's going to come down to, how you're running your business. Are you outsourcing, and what's the cost of that outsourcing? If you're servicing the work yourself, then it's super easy to give a great guarantee because there's really no financial downside to you doing that. So hopefully this is a helpful guideline and just food for thought, really, so you can start to think about where you want to position yourself with the guarantee and how you can use the guarantee to make this whole process a whole lot easier and just lubricate the whole process. Because without something solid to back your message up with, it's really just talk. You can make bold claims and you can make bold statements and you can say you can get fantastic results, but the client doesn't know that until they try you out. And in order to try you out, then they've got to have some kind of risk reversal in place there, and they've got to have some kind of confidence in your ability to get results. So, as I say, without something solid to back your message up, and a guarantee is the most solid thing you can do that with, it's just talk, really. So, it's the message that gets the conversation started, and we've spent a lot of time on getting that message right, but the message doesn't close the deal. The message is the opener, the guarantee is the closer. So again, I'm not giving a definitive solution here to the risk reversal situation. I'm not saying you have to do this or you should do that or this is better than that. All I'm saying is that the stronger the risk reversal, the better the guarantee, the better your results are going to be. Ultimately, the more money you're going to make, and this is something that everybody has to give individual thought and consideration to and decide for themselves how much risk personally they're willing to take on. So I'm not saying you need to take a particular path. I'm just saying that this risk reversal thing, it does need to be given some serious thought. So the last thing I'll say before I close this video is that you can even get clients with absolutely no guarantee whatsoever. So if you're completely uncomfortable with a guarantee of any kind, then you can get clients without a guarantee. It's not impossible. It's just going to be harder, and it's just going to slow things down. So as I say, the better the risk reversal, the better the easier client acquisition becomes. And that's it. So we'll see you in the next video. So welcome back. So now I want to take some time and look at the email templates that we're going to use on LinkedIn, because we're going to be out prospecting here very shortly. So these are the emails that we're going to use on LinkedIn as we reach out. So I'm going to share them with you now and cover this content, so you can also download them below this video so you can copy and paste them as you start to need them. So there's essentially going to be 4 emails that we use, and there's really only 4. And the first one is kind of an introduction email where we reach out and we make the introduction, obviously. The second email is the response email, and this is the email that we send after the prospect has shown some kind of interest in our offer. Then we have a follow-up email, and we use this very often indeed, and this can be used in a whole bunch of different situations, and we'll go over those as well. And then there's a last chance email. So if we're just not getting any traction at all with a prospect, then we'll send them the last chance saying, this is your last chance. Imagine that. So let's review them one at a time. And here's a modification warning as well. So these emails work very, very well as they are. They work for me. They work for a number of people that have taken this training. They work for a number of people that are on this training now. And they just flat out work. They make money. It took a lot of time and effort to develop the emails that are actually working. So if you modify them in any way, you may get better results, but more than likely you're going to get worse results. So if you modify these in any way, I have no idea how they're going to perform for you. So as I say, these templates have worked over and over again as they are now. So they're the result of a lot of testing, extensive testing, and if you change them, as I say, they may or may not work for you. So copy is a funny thing, and the slightest change can really make a big difference to response rate. So that warning said, let's look at the emails that we're going to use. The first email that we're going to use is an introduction email, and we'll cover these again as we go onto LinkedIn in later videos and we actually start to go through the process. But the first email is used immediately after a prospect actually connects with us, so they accept our connection request. This is when we use this email, and it goes exactly like this. So the subject line is quick question, and then the body copy of the email is, hi, whatever your name is, I hope everything's going great. Quick question. Do you have capacity for more, whatever your customers are? So do you have capacity for more personal injury cases? Do you have capacity for more dental implant patients? Whatever it is that you're offering. Next line. If I generate you inquiries in return for a small commission, would you be interested? I'm currently looking for business or a practice or whatever it is in your town I can generate inquiries for. Are you interested? And that's it. That's all we want to do. So again, if we look at this It's very simple. So one thing we don't want to do, and it's a stumbling block for a lot of people, is they get hung up on the term commission. So I don't want you getting hung up on that right now. We're just basically saying that there's going to be a fee involved. So it's only designed to get the prospect to say, yes, tell me more. This is not a legally binding contract, and we're going to cover what we mean by commission with them in upcoming emails. So keep in mind, this is not a legal contract. We're just trying to get them to say yes. And of course, we need to reverse the risk. So if I could generate you inquiries for a fee is substantially more risky and substantially less desirable than if I could generate you inquiries for a small commission. Do you see the difference there? It's a big risk reversal and it makes a big difference to the response rate. So please don't get hung up on that. It's not a big deal, and very rarely is it ever a problem, and if it is, we just move on from it. It's no big deal. So as I said, if we say, if I generate you clients for a fee, would you be interested? Then you're immediately adding risk to the prospect from second one, and the answer to that question is probably going to be no. By saying specifically for a small commission, it bypasses the sales response in the person and it immediately starts to tap into the self-interest response. So it's basically the person thinks, well, if they don't get any results, then it's not going to cost me anything, and essentially that is true. So we're going to give them a guarantee, or hopefully we're going to give them a really good guarantee that reverses the risk. So that's all we're saying basically by using the term commission. We're basically saying if you don't get results, there's no expense involved for you, and that's how we explain it later on. So the answer to can I generate you clients for a small commission is always going to be, or more often than not, it's going to be sure, tell me more about it, I'm interested. And by finishing that first message with a question, it forces the prospect to actually interact with the message by asking the question. So by ending it with, would you be interested? Then you know what the answer to that question is going to be, right? The answer to that question is definitely yes. And quite often people will just say yes, that's the only response they give, but that's fine. Or of course, because it's an irresistible offer. We're presenting our service to them in a way that is irresistible, and really all we're doing here is trying to just open the conversation. It's a conversation opener, that's all it is, and it works really well for that. So the second message in the sequence is the response. So generally speaking, sometimes people will just give you their phone number straight away, but you generally don't want to get on the phone with them immediately because they don't have enough information about who you are, that you're not credentialized as an expert yet. So quite often they'll say, yes, I'm interested, send me more information. Every now and again they'll say, yes, here's my phone number, but we always, or most often, we want to go to this response right here. So the response to the initial question is going to be typically sure, yes, I'm interested, tell me more, etc. And then to that we're going to respond with this message, and I've broken this into paragraphs just to make it bite-sized for you. So we're going to respond, hey, first name, thanks for the quick reply. What I offer is this: if you want to generate more of whatever it is you're offering to generate them on a consistent basis in a cost-effective way, then I can definitely help you to do that. That's how I can help you without any question. I can provide you with as many inquiries for whatever type of business as you can reasonably manage. These are people actively interested in the service that you offer and are at the point of wanting a consultation. Here's an example of the leads generated so you can see for yourself. Now, you can modify that slightly, but you basically just want to put some proof there. So it could be something, here's some clients that I've worked for and what they have to say. And it could be a click to a testimonial video. It could be a link to a screenshot of an AdWords account with a number of conversions in there at a very favorable rate, something like that. Just something that credentializes what you're doing and kind of addresses the belief aspect, which we talked about before. So continuing on, if you want the added security in your business of having a reliable, sustainable, and predictable way to generate the type of business you're looking for, then this is perfect for you. I also guarantee the results, so if there's no results, there's no fee. So this is where we kind of get around the commission thing. Basically, as I said, by saying, if I generated you clients in return for a small commission, that's basically saying that it's risk-free for you. So again, we're hitting them up with the risk-free thing here. So as we said in the previous video, if you're not happy with the risk-free thing, you can either take that out or you can modify it to make it fit what kind of risk reversal you are willing to offer. Then the next line, if this is of interest to you and you'd like to learn more, then the easiest thing to do is to jump on Skype or the phone for a short conversation. This takes about 5 to 10 minutes, there's no obligation, and we'll be friends in the end regardless of the outcome. Let me know. So again, a question. So what we're doing here is, again, we're reversing the risk. So the risk at this point for the prospect is A, they're going to be sold to, and B, you're going to take an awful lot of their time. So although we need probably a 30 to 45-minute consultation with the prospect, maybe even longer, to get them into a deal, we're not going to tell them that. We're going to tell them it's a 5 to 10-minute conversation and they're free to leave after that. So this is reversing the risk that they're going to be on the phone for a long time and not be able to get off. Now, I know what people are thinking here. Well, what if we want to talk for longer? Well, that's fine. Usually the conversation does go longer. So quite often they'll have scheduled the call on their lunch break, or they'll have scheduled the call after work, or they're the business owner and they can take the call whenever they want, right? So that can go one of two ways. You can either stay on the call if they want to continue to talk about it. So typically I say, well, I promised you this would be a 5-minute phone call, so we're at the 5-minute mark. Would you like to continue, or would you like to schedule a call for another day? Give them the option. Now, if they're interested, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to want to continue the conversation with you right then and there, and quite often you can actually close the deal on that call. If they are genuinely busy, or they took you literally and scheduled 5 minutes for the call, then you may have to schedule another call to deal with that. But that's very simple. You just want to make sure that you lock that time in while they're on the phone. You don't say, I'll send you an email or whatever. You just say, okay, do you have your diary handy? Do you have your calendar handy? And you want to lock that call in while you're on the phone, or else the chances of it happening are not brilliant. So during that message, you just basically want to make sure you're hitting the biggest benefits. You want to make sure that you're providing some kind of proof that what you're saying is true, and you want to add some risk reversal in there. So basically the same stuff we've been talking about over and over again for a little while now. You're just seeing it in action now. So we always want to have those elements in our sales copy. So pretty much everything that we learned in video 1 is actually presented in this message here. So we've got the risk reversal, we've got the belief, addressing the belief, that kind of stuff. So the next email is the follow-up email, and that is just simply this, right? So hey first name, hi first name, just checking to see you received my previous email. Any thoughts or questions? And that's it. And basically you just use that anytime the sales process seems to have come to a stop. So if you've sent the introduction message and they haven't responded and 3 or 4 days have gone by, then you send this. If they've asked for information and you've sent it and they haven't responded, then you use this. Basically any time that the sales process is slowing down or coming to a stop, or you think that the prospect has gone dead, the lead is dead, then you use this email, and I'd say probably 5 times out of 10 this will kickstart the process again. So if you're not using this email, then you're leaving at least 50% of your business on the table. And I use this quite aggressively in virtually every sale that I make through LinkedIn, or has its foundations on LinkedIn. This email gets used for the most part at some point during that process. So you want to use this email often, and anytime it kind of grinds to a halt, anytime you don't get a response or it seems like the lead has gone dead. So as I say, 80% of successful deals will require the follow-up at some point. More than likely, that's a rough approximation of a number, but that seems reasonable to me. It's definitely a high percentage of interactions are going to need that email at multiple points. So use it liberally. Now, the final email is the last chance email, and I use this when it just seems like the deal has gone dead, right? So you've sent that last email, the follow-up email, a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times, and you've just not got any response at all from them. It just seems like they've gone completely dead. At that point, I'll use this email right here, and it basically says, hi, first name, I hope you're well. I haven't heard from you, so I assume you're not interested right now. If you're interested, I'm just being too busy to respond. Please reply to this email now. So we're basically just giving them one final chance to respond if they've been too busy or something like that. And again, probably this email will get responded to probably about 20% of the time. They'll just say, oh, sorry, I've been too busy, or yeah, I'm interested, I just haven't been on LinkedIn. So probably, again, an estimation, but probably about 20% of the time this email will get a positive response. And I've had a number of sales that have actually come after using this email. So I thought the process was completely dead, sent this email, and then a few days later we're getting a sale. So again, don't be afraid to use this. So it's all pretty self-explanatory, I think. So those are the 4 standard emails that we use. I don't really use any other than that, but obviously you're not in a straitjacket when it comes to this process, right? So if a response requires an individual response, an individual email, then you want to be sure to give it. Of course, that just goes without saying. You don't want to get really hung up on the fact that you've only got 4 emails in your bag of emails and the email isn't appropriate. So obviously, if it asks a question and it requires a personal response, of course, you're going to respond personally at that point. So our goal here on LinkedIn through the email process is always to set up the phone call. We want to pretty much get them out of LinkedIn as quickly as possible, and we want to get it into the real world as quickly as possible. So we want to get them on the phone. The goal is always to get them on the phone. As I say, if they ask for a phone call after the very first email, then generally you'll want to send them the second email anyway. So you'll send them an email basically that says, "Yeah, happy to set up a phone call. By the way, in the meantime, here's some information," because we want them to see a little bit more of what we're doing. We want them to know a little bit more in order to be more assured that we're going to get a favorable response on the call, if that makes sense. So you always want to be pushing for the call every time. It's like, "Hey, let's just jump on the phone. And you're going to be 5 to 10 minutes. If you like it, fine. If not, fine. Doesn't matter. We'll be friends in the end." So that's the kind of conversational tone you want to have. And it's just, as I say, let's just jump on the phone. It's only going to take 5 minutes. If you like it, we'll set up another call. If you don't, all it's cost you is 5 minutes. Because it's much easier to sell on the phone than via email. Occasionally you might get a deal purely through email without any phone interaction, but generally speaking, it's going to be substantially easier to get them into a deal over the phone. So that's our email templates. In the next video, we're going to look at the strategy to reach out to the prospect directly. So for that, we're going to jump over to LinkedIn, and we're actually going to start doing it. I'm going to go through the process and show you how to do it, and I'm also going to show you how to automate that process to some extent during that video. So that's it for this video. You've got your emails there. You can download them so you can copy and paste them and get set up, so you don't have to pause the video and type them out by hand. So go ahead and do that, have them ready to go, and then in the next video we'll jump over to LinkedIn and we're going to start prospecting. So hello and welcome back. So now we're on to the part where we're actually going to start to contact the prospect. So let's head on over to LinkedIn and let's just walk through this process step by step. So here we are over at LinkedIn, and as you can see, what I've got open here is Autopilot for LinkedIn. So we've kind of talked about that just a little bit. So basically it's just a plugin, I think, that sits in the Chrome browser. So you just click on it and then it opens this screen here. So we're going to use this to visit profiles of people that are potentially prospects for us. So the way I do this, my keyword would be dentist. So I want to come over here and I'm interested in seniority level. So basically I want to deal with owners, partners, possibly director, depending on the type of business you're in. But for now, I'm going to go with owner or partner. That's good enough. So this is why it's quite useful to have the premium account, because we get these search features. We get a lot of additional search features. And based on what industry, what niche you're in, you can really use these to dial down and get the right person. So very, very useful. So as you can see, we're going to search dentist. Now, over here, I don't want to search anywhere because that's going to bring back every country of the world. So here's what I do. So the thing is that we could search United States, right? And here's what's going to happen. So it brings up 14,141 possible dentists that I could target. And that's fantastic. That's a lot of dentists. But the problem is this screen is going to come back for anybody that's done this kind of search. So anybody that's typed in dentist and that's the seniority level, owner or partner, this is what it's going to bring back, right? So these people are going to be targeted very, very often. So these are not necessarily going to be your best prospects. So one of the things with LinkedIn, I think you can't go beyond the first 1,000 people in this manner. So we've got 14,000 prospects here, and I believe it's that the first 1,000 is the only ones that you can actually go to. So if you keep clicking on this next, pretty soon it will come to an end, and that's going to leave, well, it's going to be about 13,000 people that you're not able to reach this way directly. So all of these 1,000 people are being contacted and targeted by a lot of people, so they're not necessarily the best. So what we want to do is actually go with this postal code lookup option here, and if you just click on it, it's going to bring up all of these various places within the United States. So you can just put in whatever you want there, really. So you could do like Miami, for example, or whatever, and it's going to give you the postcodes for Miami. So just pick one of these, doesn't matter, it's just random. Head on back over here and we want to paste that in there, and then if we search within 100 miles of Miami with that zip code and we click search, now we've got 365 dentists that probably haven't been targeted, or certainly have been targeted considerably less. And this is the only way we can actually get to those 14,000. So again, we can go through here, I don't know, pick anything really. Let's go with Dallas, that jumps to mind. So we'll just pick any one of these, and by systematically working through these zip codes, we're going to be able to access dentists that other people. So we've got 488 here. So this is going to give us a lot of people to target, and a lot of these people have not been targeted by anybody else. So these are going to be considerably better prospects, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So you want to make sure that you're taking the time to do this, or else you're just going to be targeting the same people over and over again, and that everyone else is targeting. You're not going to get very good results. So you just want to kind of experiment with various keywords to see, is it 1N or 2N? There we go. Let's just see, just out of curiosity. So if we're in the solar panel industry, then there are 41 potential prospects within the owner or partner of a solar panel company in the Dallas area. So we went a little bit broader with that. Let's see, just out of curiosity. So again, you can see US wide, just a very, very broad search without too much refinement. We can see it's pulled up 2,300 people for solar panels straight away, right? So that's a pretty decent number of people to target. So if you mess around with this and start, experimenting with keywords and stuff like that, so law is, you could put legal, I guess. Let's see what that brings up. So we've got a mass of people here with the keyword legal who are owner or partner. So obviously we're going to want to refine that down substantially to get the result that we're looking for. But you kind of get the point here, right? So this is probably too narrow now. We've just got to play with this to find the best results. And as I say, if we use this postal code lookup here and put a zip code in there, then we're going to have the best chance of success, because we're not all targeting the same people. If we've got a bunch of people that are going after PI lawyers, then there's more than enough PI lawyers in the US for everybody and then some. But if we're all going after the same 1,000 lawyers, then it's going to start to become a bit crowded, and there's just no need for that to be happening. So the next thing is, after I've selected my audience here, so PI, legal, PI, owner, partner, we've got 71 results here. Then all I'm going to do here is click yes, and what's going to happen is LinkedIn, autopilot for LinkedIn is basically going to start to visit these people's profiles. So it'll go through all of these, and we can visit, and the daily limit is 400, so we can visit up to 400 a day, and generally that's what I do. I generally visit 400 per day. So this, as you can see, it's pretty slow, which is a good thing. We don't want to be speed visiting people's profiles, or else we're going to get banned pretty quickly. So the fact that it's very slow is good. So it's probably going to take a couple of hours to run this here, and that's just fine. So pretty much I just leave this running in the background. I start this running in the morning and just let it run in the background. So I'm going to cancel that, because I really don't need to be visiting those people. And that's the first step we do there, right? So let's say, for example, we do this on a Monday. The next thing we're going to want to do on Tuesday morning when we come back to our desk is we come over here to who's viewed your profile. So if we click on this, we can see who's actually looked at our profile. So there's a couple of benefits to this. Is A, all of these people are active on LinkedIn, and we know that for a fact, because you can see they visited our profile today, yesterday, so on and so forth. So we can see who's actually active on LinkedIn, right? So a couple of advantages to that. We're not wasting our time with people that are not active. So what I would do here is I would just go through and I would just connect with all of these people, right? So I'd go through connect, so on and so forth. That's exactly what I would do. And obviously I'm already connected with these people. I'd connect with all of them. And as I say, the advantage to this, we know these people are active on LinkedIn. We know they've looked at our profile. So all I would do here is just come here, and I don't get fancy with this at all. There's nothing you need to do here that's fancy. Just click friend, and then I just go with the standard invitation here, right? I go with the standard invitation that LinkedIn provides, and that's it. So I'd go through and I'd connect with each one of those that have viewed my profile, because as I say, they know who I am. So I would do that, and that would be my next stage of the whole process. So the third stage is, once I've connected with everybody that's viewed my profile, is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to see who's accepted my connection request, right? So we can see that George Doob is now a connection. We can see that AJ Prasad is now a connection, so on and so forth. So what I want to do at this point is I want to send these people the introduction email. So if I was going after this guy here as a prospect. So to recap where we are in the process, we visited his profile. He's noticed that we visited his profile. He's come back, he's looked at our profile. We've sent him a connection request. He's accepted the connection request. So at this point, there's been 3 or 4 points of contact. So now I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to search for George. Here he is. And I'm basically going to send him a message because I'm now able to send him a message, and I'm going to send him this quick question. So in the previous video we looked at the email sequence, so this is the message that I'm going to send him. So it's going to be the quick question, and it's going to be, hey George, if I could send you whatever for a small commission, would you be interested? And then we're going to go ahead and send that. So I'm not going to do that right now. We don't need to do that, but that's the process. So we're sending a message to somebody who's really, they're involved in the process, right? They know, they're active on LinkedIn, they've looked at us, they've connected with us, so they know who we are. So the chances of them responding to the message are really quite good. So now we've done that, the next stage is we basically wait for his response. So ideally we're going to be going through here and we're going to be sending, if we're doing our job properly, then there should be a minimum of 5 new connections every day. So if we go down, you know, lots of new connections, you can see lots of new connections. You've got 4 new connections, 2 new connections. So every day you're doing this, you should be getting a lot of new connections. So we just go through and we connect, we send the quick question, the introduction message to all of these people that we see. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got a lot of people here that we could actually connect if we want to. 8, 9. We've got 8 or 9 prospects that we could contact if that's what we wanted to do. So we've sent that message, so now we're going to follow up. So I'm going to come over here to my inbox. So let's just see how this works out. So let's go down to some dentists, where I've contacted some dentists recently. So obviously this is reasonably confidential stuff here. So this is for this group and for the benefit of your learning and for your advancement, and not to be shared with other people, obviously. So the way this then works is it's going to be something along these lines, right? So we send this introduction email. Hope everything's going great. Quick question, do you have capacity for more patients? In this case, it's going to be whatever service you're offering. So this is going to be a reasonably typical response, right? So yes, sounds good. Send me more information, please. So this is kind of the response that we're looking for, right? So we see here we've sent her the second email pretty much, and this was one that I was testing, so it's slightly different to the one that you've been given. The one you've been given is actually more effective than this one, but as you can see, we've sent the follow-up email, information requested email, and a good deal of time has gone by and she hasn't responded. So we sent the initial email, she said yes, I'm interested, send me more information, and she hasn't responded. So this is where we then want to go and use our follow-up email. So just check in to see you received my previous emails, any thoughts or questions. So here's the response: sorry, have not had a chance to look at it yet. No problem. So some more time goes by. Haven't heard from you for a while. Hope you're well. Started working with a few new clients. We're already generating 7 to 10 inquiries a day. Is this something you'd be interested in? We come back and this is the response that we get. Glad you reminded me. Yes, I'm interested. So as you can see, this follow-up process is quite necessary. We've got no response. We've used the follow-up, we've got a response, we've got no response again, we've had to use it again, and it goes on and like that until the person becomes a client, and this person's actually come on board as a client. So we look at it, another one here. So another example of follow-up here is we've sent the same initial email here. So this practice is in California. Do you have capacity for more patients? No response, right? So I send the second email, just checking to see you received my previous email. Any thoughts? No response still. Then we send the third follow-up. I haven't heard from you for a while, so I assume you're not interested. If you're interested, have been too busy to respond, please reply to this email now. So as we can see there, nothing, and then all of a sudden he comes back with, hey Cody, you've got an implant practice in Palm Springs, how much to blow it up out there, and gives the phone number. Subsequently becomes a client. Again, same situation here. We send the initial email, yes, very interested, happy to hear about this. We send our follow-up email, and then boom, we get the phone number, we get the Skype. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's exactly what we want to do. So that's pretty much how that works. So obviously, as you can see, we're just trying to get them on the phone every single time, really. And as you can see, this works really, really well. So here's another example. So this was a message that I was testing, so it's slightly different to the one you've got. Stick with the one you've got. The messages I've given you are the ones that are most effective, so if things are a little bit different here, it's because I'm testing stuff and it's going to save you some time so you don't have to. Basically, again, do you have capacity for more patients in return for a small commission? Yes, I'm interested in how are you paid? And then as you see here, generally I work on a monthly retainer. So as we talked about in the previous video, don't get hung up on this because it doesn't really matter. As you can see here, he's questioning that, and straight away we say we're paid on a monthly retainer, but then I followed that up with I guarantee you the results. The response to this is I would be interested. This weekend's crazy, maybe sometime next week Skype would be great. And then we shared Skype details here, and then the relationships continued on Skype at that point. So as you can see, this is not a problem. The commission thing is not a problem generally. I've told the guy straight up that it's a retainer-based relationship, and he still said, "Yep, I'm definitely interested. Let's jump on Skype." So we can just go through these over and over again. I mean, here's a good example. So this guy has actually reached out to me, right? Dr. Franjapal has recommended you to me, and I would like to try. I'd like to give you a try. So this was an in-mail he sent me. So he reached out with an in-mail. You can see there, and it's a recommendation, and he said he wants to try me. He's ready to buy, right? So I say, yep, let's jump on the phone. We'll sort this out on the phone, no problem. Now, even somebody that's reached out to me with an in-mail after a recommendation, I've still had to use this follow-up, just checking to see you received my previous email. And again, the response here is yes, I'm glad you messaged me. Can you please email me your contract and terms? So even after somebody's reached out to me, someone's approached me through an in-mail and it's been a referral, I've still had to use this follow-up email. So hopefully you can see that if you're not using this follow-up email liberally and often, you're just leaving money on the table. As you can see, yes, I'm glad you messaged me again. Can you please send me your contract? If I'd have just waited for him to respond, then that deal would have been down the drain. Let's look at just one more maybe, see if we can get another example. So same message, this doctor's in Melbourne, Australia. So sure, let me know the details is the response. So the message is pretty irresistible really. So this is very much the typical response, and you're going to get this a lot. So then we've sent the second email, the follow-up email, the more information email, and as we go down we can see that she said she's interested. We followed up, and guess what? Nothing's happened. Nothing at all, right? So we send this, just checking to see you received my previous email. Another 2 weeks goes by, still nothing. So we send her another email, still nothing, right? Send her a third email. Hope you're well, I haven't heard from you, I assume you're not interested. Hi Cody, I would like to discuss this further. Tuesday 1:30 will be a good time, or Monday at 5:30. Let me know what suits. Hi, Tuesday at 1:30 works well, and we're in business. So you can see here, this has taken 1, 2, 3 follow-ups to get the response, and the response is, I would like to discuss this. Can we set a time, please? So again, the reason I'm going through so many of these is because I want you to see that the money really is in the follow-up here. If you're not using this follow-up email, then you're just simply leaving money on the table, and there's no two ways about it. So hopefully that's demonstrated that this process is ridiculously effective. I mean, we can just go down and down and down, and these are all conversations that I'm having with dentists based on this opening message here. Things are great, thanks for asking. Yes, I'm sure I could make room for additional implant cases. Might be interested, please tell me more. Send the follow-up email, and again, we've followed up. We've sent 1, 2, 3. I've had to send 3 follow-up emails here for him to reply, say, yeah, it's a busy time, let's talk. Just because people are not responding doesn't mean they're not interested. So this is typically where people are going to go wrong, and this is going to be a very critical mistake to avoid. And that just because people are not responding, don't think that it's not working, and don't think that people are not interested. As you can see, just over and over again here, people are interested, and after you follow up 2 or 3 times, then they jump on the phone and more often than not they're becoming clients. So probably 7 out of 10 will become a client once we jump on the phone. So this guy's a client, so let's look through this. This is another good example of the follow-up. So this was a test message, so thanks for connecting, so on and so forth. So you would just use your basic introduction message there. But then you see nothing, 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 3 messages. And then finally, after sending this guy 4 messages, sorry for the late reply, end of year was hectic, I am interested. So you can see over and over again. So the guy said he's interested, so we've sent him the follow-up email here. When can we arrange a time to talk? So when can we arrange a time? So we've set up a time here. It's asked me where I'm based, so on and so forth. We've set up the time, given me his phone number. And then he's come back and said, I don't want to waste your time, but I've signed a contract with a web firm for web design, SEO, pay-per-click, etc. I understand you do similar things. Should we still have the call? So again, most people at this point would say, oh, he signed a contract with a pay-per-click company. This is not going to work. So my response is short, doesn't hurt to talk. And guess what? Hi, Adrian. Good talking today. You've made a great decision. I think you're going to be very happy with the results. So as you can see, even when people say that they're with another company or something like that, it really doesn't matter. So in this particular instance here, this is a great example, and the reason I show it to you is because it's taken 1, 2, 3, 4 messages to even get a response. And then after we've got a response, he's come back and said, oh, I'm really not that interested. I think I'm going to be wasting your time. We get on the phone anyway, and guess what? Turns into a client. So you don't want to be put off by that stuff. You just want to get them on the phone. If you can get them on the phone, then there's a good chance you're going to be able to turn them into a client. That's it pretty much. I mean, that's the process that I use. I mean, another thing you can do if you really want to get aggressive with this is you can simply just search directly. So we could type in, let's go with the same search, and seniority level, owner, partner, anywhere. Let's go with this Dallas code again, just because we've already got it for no other reason than that. I always go 100 just to get the widest range. So I don't know why, because I've spelt it wrong, that's why. So we've got 488 results, right? So I mean, basically you can just right click, open in a new window, right click, open in a new window, and go through and just open all of these up. And then you can just go through and you can just connect with them if you want to, like so. I'm not too squeamish about this stuff. So the thing about this is we don't know if they're active on LinkedIn or not. So you're going to have to, a lot of these people are not really going to be active on LinkedIn. So if we look at, let's go back here and look at that quickly. So he's got 500 plus connections. He's probably active. He's probably a good one. So they haven't seen us though, so they don't know who we are. So it's kind of a cold connection. So it's a little bit less successful than using LinkedIn Autopilot. But nevertheless, if you go through and you do, like on a typical day, I'll probably do 20 to 30 of those where I'm just literally going down and just literally reaching out cold to people. So if you're aggressive and you really want to see the growth and you don't want to wait for people to come and view your profile and stuff like that, this is a way to really expedite the whole process. I mean, I just go through, I see stuff like this, own a dentist at Dallas dental specialist, and I just think, yep, that could be good. I'll just connect with him. And that's it. Like I say, I'm not squeamish. I don't worry about too many things when it comes to this stuff. I've never had any complaints to date. Nobody's ever been nasty with me or anything like that. So probably about 10% of the people that you connect with in that way will connect back with you. So if you do 20 a day, you're going to get 2, maybe 3 connections, and it's going to produce an extra 2 or 3 or maybe 4 consults per week if you do that. So it's well worth doing if you've got the time. So that's it pretty much for this video. The next video is going to be on following up. So we pretty much covered the follow-up process in this video here. So I'll make a very short video on that just so you can see it, so you have an easy reference to it if you want to have a look at it in the future. Then we'll be off. So you've got everything that you need now really to go out and start prospecting there. There's everything in this video is there that you need to go out and start reaching out to people, contacting people. And look, if you do this every day and you put in the time and you make the effort and you reach out to people and you use the templates that I've given you, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever you can't have 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 phone calls with prospects by the end of the week. And like I say, some of you are even going to have clients. So good luck with that, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello everybody, and I want to talk to you just very quickly about in-mails. Now, in-mails are very good and they can be used for sure. So what I've shown you so far is I'm trying to show you the absolute lowest cost way of doing this. So when we're doing it the way that I've shown you, then we obviously have to wait till somebody connects with us before we can send them a message. So one way around this is we can use in-mails, and I do like in-mails, I do use them myself, but you've got to use them slightly differently than what we've already seen. So let's cover that very quickly. So when you're using in-mails, the way they work is you get a credit if your message is responded to. So you don't want to be sending messages to people that you don't know are online, or you don't know if they're active or not on LinkedIn. So this is one of the reasons that we use the profile viewer, is because we can actually see if the person's active on LinkedIn, and they've obviously been active in the last day or two, right, to view our profile. So if, as I've said, you only get a credit for the in-mail if somebody responds to it, then you don't want to send the email to somebody who isn't active and they don't respond to it, because you just lose your email and that's it, it's gone then. So you want to make sure that your profile is being viewed. So that said, if somebody's viewed your profile and you've had a look at them and you've decided that they're a good prospect, you want to talk to them, and this is really when you would use in-mails, is when you can identify somebody as a very good prospect, and like I say, they've viewed our profile, we can see that they're active, then we're going to want to send them an in-mail. So the one thing that we're definitely going to want to do here is when we send out our quick question message, you're going to want to add to the bottom of that, if you're not interested, please reply with not interested, so we don't contact you again. So what this is doing is, as I say, we're making you get a credit back for the in-mail when the person replies to the in-mail. It used to be that you get a credit if they don't reply to it, which was great, that was a great deal, but they've changed that as a little while back now, so you actually get a credit if they do reply to it. So you want to put this on there, so if they're not interested, then we want to encourage them to let us know they're not interested, and that way we get the credit back and we can use it again and again and again. So that's the way we do that. So like I say, in-mails are really good, they're very useful, and this is one way that we can really kind of ramp up what we're doing a little bit and get a few more miles out of what we're doing. So hopefully that's helpful. Hello and welcome back again. So I want to share with you a little trick in this video that you can use that's going to get you a few more miles out of what you're doing, and it's going to get you to where you can send a few more messages a little bit quicker, so you can start to get some traction a little bit quicker as well, and that's by leveraging LinkedIn groups. So let's head over to LinkedIn and I'll show you very quickly what I mean by this. So here we are at LinkedIn on my homepage, and let me show you how I do this. So we'll just go to search, and let's say I put a search in here previously. Let's say we're searching for personal injury lawyer. So then all I want to do is come over here to groups, and you can see there are 47 groups for personal injury lawyers, right? So which one's got 10,000 members, 3,000 members, stuff like that. So then you just want to go ahead and join these groups, as many as you can, right? Or as many as it will let you. So then if we come over here, you can see if we join groups, look at groups here, and then you go to my groups, and we can see which groups are in. So let's look at the dental implant group here, and then we just want to look at members, 123 total members. So if we go down, so as you can see, this guy right here, he's a second degree connection, so ordinarily we wouldn't be able to message this guy, but seeing as we're in the same group together, it's actually going to allow me to message him, which is very useful. And as you can see, we can go down here, this is going to give me, so obviously I've got a lot of second and third degree connections here that it's going to actually allow me to message that I otherwise wouldn't be able to. Ordinarily you can only message people once they become a first degree connection. So this is going to give us the ability to contact some other people before they've connected with us. So again, there's a limit to how much you can do here. I'm not sure exactly how many LinkedIn's going to let you send. Not too long ago, a year or so ago, they used to let you send as many as you want to. I do think they've put a limit on how many you can send now, so you don't want to go hog wild with this. You don't want to go just crazy, or else you're going to flag your account. So like everything, moderation is the way to do this. But if we use this along with LinkedIn InMails as well, then it's going to really increase the miles that we can get out of this. It's going to really increase the number of people that we're able to contact and the results that we get, obviously. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you a few extra ways to leverage LinkedIn here and get some more messages. And obviously, I don't necessarily, I'm not teaching a course here on how to use groups and post content and stuff like that. This is direct response marketing, but of course the more you can do that, if you can start to post content into these groups on a regular basis, that certainly isn't going to hurt your case at all. What I'm trying to share with you is ways to get into the market very, very quickly, and what I share is not necessarily the only thing you can do by any stretch of the imagination. You can certainly do much more stuff as well, and by becoming active in these groups and actively participating, there's no doubt this is going to help your cause. So feel free to get involved in these groups, but my point here is to show you that you're able to access people that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to access, and this is going to allow you to send more messages faster. But as I've already said, use it with caution. Don't go crazy with this stuff. You don't want to get your account flagged for just sending out tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of messages. So between the free method of profile viewing and then making the connection in between InMails and between using LinkedIn groups, this should really double or triple the number of messages that you're able to get out there quite quickly. So hopefully that's helpful. Hello and welcome to the video on following up. So we've pretty much covered following up in the previous video, so if you have any questions about that, definitely go back and review that video and look at the examples of where we followed up. So this really is just a very, very short video on just to reiterate the fact that you really need to be following up, and you really need to be doing it very, very often indeed. So hopefully you see in the last video the necessity of that, and as you can see, a good percentage of my sales would not have happened had I not followed up as aggressively and consistently as I had. So as I say, this is literally going to be a 60-second video just to convince you that you really need to be following up. Don't be squeamish about it. Don't put it off. Just follow up, follow up, follow up. Anytime the sales process seems to have come to an end, or anytime the whole process seems to have come to an end, send that follow-up email 2, maybe 3 times, and more often than not you're going to kickstart the process again and you're going to get the person interested. So don't assume they're not interested just because it's gone quiet. Generally speaking, we're dealing with very busy people. They're not necessarily active LinkedIn users all the time, so don't be afraid to follow up. Use it, and that's it. I'm not going to say any more because we've said it all, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to talk about tracking your progress, because obviously we're going to be contacting a lot of people on a daily basis through LinkedIn and through direct mail when we get to that as well, probably. So we want to keep track of where we are and where we are in the message chain and stuff like that. So for that process I use Pipedrive, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do. So I'm going to head over quickly to Pipedrive. So here we are at Pipedrive. It's like pipedrive.com. You can Google it and it will show up. I'm just going to log in and show you exactly what I do here. So basically this is my pipeline for LinkedIn, right? So I've got this set up. Now I'm not going to show you how to set all of this stuff up. It's really very, very simple. You can pause the video if you want the column headings here, and this is a very inexpensive piece of software. I think it's like $9 a month, something like that. They've got a 30-day free trial, and it's just really very easy to use. So they've also got tutorials and stuff like that. So this is not really a course on the technical how-tos of the technical implementation of stuff. We're going to keep it at high level strategy and direction, and we're going to talk about the stuff that makes you money. So you can figure out how to set this up very, very easily. Just a quick Google search will show you how to do that. So basically I've got my pipeline set up like this. So when I bring a prospect into this, basically it's after they've connected with me and I've sent them the quick question, the introduction email. So all I would do there is simply add a deal, and I would just put the person's name. That's all I would do. I'll just add their name, click save, and that's going to bring them over here and put them in this column. So all of these people here have been sent the quick question email, and they haven't responded to this yet. So if I was following up today, if today was a follow-up day, then I would say Gregory Van Hale needs to be followed up. I would go over to LinkedIn and I would send this particular person the second email, or the follow-up email, which would be, hey, haven't heard from you, just checking you received my email, the follow-up email. Once I'd sent them that email, I would just drag them over to here and move them into the follow-up one column sent. So I would go through and I would do all of these. Then I would come over here, and this guy's in this column, right? So he's been sent the first follow-up, he hasn't responded, so I would send him another follow-up and I would move this over to this column. So now I would know that this guy has received 2 follow-up messages and haven't received anything back from him yet. He hasn't responded. So if I sent the quick question message and somebody responded, or if I sent the follow-up message and somebody responded, let's say Hassan has responded here, then, and he asked me for more information, I would move him over to the explanation emailed column here. So that means that the explanation email has been emailed, obviously. Makes sense, right? So all of these people have received that particular email. Now, I will go through this column and I would see who's responded. Now, if they've responded to that and said, sounds good, let's set up a call, let's say Ahmed here has responded, then I would move him over here and I would call him engaged at this point. I would say that he's engaged in the process. So he's responded to the initial email, he said he's interested, I've sent him some follow-up information, he's read the follow-up information and he said he's still interested. So now I would consider him to be engaged at this point and I would be looking to get them into a phone call. So if we send them a message in any one of these stages here, so let's say we've sent someone a follow-up email and they've responded to that, or any one of these has responded to that and said send me more information, then I simply move them over to the explanation column. So if I got an email today from Joe here and he said send me more information, then I'd send him that information, then I'd move him over to this particular column. So once I've got them on the phone call, they're either going to turn into a client or they're going to not turn into a client. So at this point after the phone call, I generally would consider them either won or lost, or if I've sent them the final explanation and it's been 2 weeks, say, and they haven't responded, I might bring them over to the lost column at that point. So that's pretty much how I do that. So at any point, so if I was logging in today and my task today was to do follow-up, the first thing I would do is I would go down here and I'd see who I sent the quick question to and hasn't responded. Then I would go and I would email all of these the first follow-up, and then I would move through each one of these columns and I'd start to move them through the process until they either was in the one column or they was in the lost column, whichever one. So that's pretty much how I do that, and that obviously makes it very easy. It's going to be very difficult for you to keep. We've got probably 100 people in this pipeline here at various stages of the process, so unless you've got some kind of system like that, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to keep track of everything. So that's pretty much how I do that. It's very simple. As I say, you can pull the column headers here, so this basically is phone call 1 made. The rest you can see pretty clearly, and to be honest, you don't have to follow my setup here. You can do whatever makes sense to you. This is just what makes sense to me, so whatever makes sense to you is a good deal. So that's it. So that's how we keep up with it. So pretty much that's it there. We've got everything we need to get out, start working, start getting some business in, and start making some money. So pretty exciting. So we're going to do one more video here where I'm going to show you how to use Phrase Express or the Mac equivalent, and that's going to make your life just a little bit easier. It's an optional extra, but it does make your life a little bit easier. So we're going to head over there, and that will be our last video for the week. So welcome back, and just in this very short video, just to wind the week up, I'm going to talk about Phrase Express. So when it comes to automation of the process, we can't really automate the process, but we can definitely make it a whole lot easier. So as you saw with the autopilot for LinkedIn, that's going to kind of do some of the heavy lifting for you as far as getting people interested in what you're doing. And the other tool that we can use that makes things just a little bit easier, since we're sending an awful lot of messages, is going to be Phrase Express. So let's head over quickly to LinkedIn and we'll have a look at how that can work. So here we are back at LinkedIn, and basically this is how this works. So if we want to send this person a message, for example, so I've sent this lovely lady here the initial introduction message. Hope everything's going great. If I could generate you more implant patients in return for commission, would you be interested? So if I was wanting to follow up at this point, right? So I only sent this message today, so I'm not going to follow up. But basically, I've got this little tool here called Phrase Express, and it just makes life super easy. So basically all you do is you just put the cursor in the message box, and then I've basically got this follow-up message is already pre-written, right? So I've got to move it over to a different screen. But basically, if you just have this quick question. So here's the text that's already written. It's pre-written. So if this was the message that I wanted to send her, I just simply click on this. So for some reason it doesn't work on both screens, so I have to move it over here just for a second to my other screen. So basically all I do is put my cursor in here and then click on the I would just click on whichever message I've got pre-written to populate, and it'll populate the field for you. So as you can see, all we've then got to do is go in and just type, just modify it a little bit, right? And then obviously we want to change the town. So she was in New Haven, I think, so we just change it like so. So I'm not going to send that. But as you can see, it makes it super easy. If she had responded and said, yes, I'm very interested, send me some more information, then I've got first reply dentist USA, basically. So all I would have to do is, like I say, I have to come over here like so, and boom, it's pre-populated that email, right? So you just got to tidy it up just a little bit. Sometimes it does stuff like this, but that's fine. So again, minor modifications, and that's it really. So everything's in there that we need to send that email. So now instead of having to copy and paste from a document somewhere or having to write the email, it's just saved us a whole bunch of time. And like we talked about last week, this is obviously for a desktop. I'm on a desktop here. I don't know exactly what the Mac equivalent is, but I do know there is a Mac equivalent out there. There is a Mac equivalent available, and it's easily findable, no doubt. Just Google it and you'll find that. So this is just a nice little tool, so you can put all of your emails in there that you might use through the process, and it's just going to save you a whole lot of time if you're sending a lot of messages on a daily, weekly basis, which I am, and I'm pretty sure you will be too. So that's it really. The automation that we can add to the whole process is we've got the autopilot for LinkedIn, and now we can add the Phrase Express if you want to do that as well. So that's definitely going to make life easier. So that's it. That's the end of the training for this week. So that's everything that we need to get out and start prospecting. And I look forward to hearing your results. And I'll see you next week in week 4.